Wuthering Heights is a Gothic novel written by Emily Brontë and published in 1847, the same year that her sister Charlotte published Jane Eyre. Growing up relatively isolated, Emily published the novel, her first and only, under the name Alice Bell, a pen name that her sisters helped coin along with their own when they co-authored a book of poetry in 1846. Dying soon after Wuthering Heights was published to scathing reviews, Emily would never read the introduction to the novel penned by her sister, Charlotte, in which she outed Emily as the author and defended her from critics. Her mind would of itself have grown like a strong tree. Set on the moors near Yorkshire, Wuthering Heights tells the story of two neighboring families that become tragically entangled as a result of a fraught romance between Catherine Earnshaw and Heathcliff. The novel begins with its narrator, Mr. Lockwood, the new tenant of a fine estate called Thrushcross Grange, paying a visit to the neighbouring property, Wuthering Heights, which is owned by a troubled man named Heathcliff. Finding himself snowed in, Lockwood passes the night at Wuthering Heights by reading the diary of Catherine Earnshaw, the former inhabitant of his room. While reading, Lockwood is visited by Catherine's ghost, who asks to be let in through the window. Upon returning home, Lockwood falls ill and asks his housekeeper, Ellen Nellie Dean, who used to work at Wuthering Heights, to tell him what she knows about the place. Nellie's story begins with the original owner of Wuthering Heights, a gentleman farmer named Earnshaw, who returned from a trip to Liverpool with a dark-skinned orphan boy he found roaming the streets. Naming the boy Heathcliff after his late son, Earnshaw raises the child as his own, inspiring the envy of his biological son, Hindley, who beat Heathcliff every chance he gets. In contrast, Earnshaw's daughter, Catherine, immediately befriends Heathcliff, and the two become close throughout the years. One day, Catherine and Heathcliff are caught spying on the civilized Linton family who live at Thrushcross Grange. Catherine also becomes infatuated with Edgar, the Lintons' son. When Catherine finally returns to Wuthering Heights, a changed young woman, Heathcliff worries that she will lose interest in him. After accepting a marriage proposal from Edgar, Catherine admits to Nellie that despite her consuming affection for Heathcliff, she cannot marry him due to his inferior social status. Overhearing this, Heathcliff becomes distraught and runs away. At the age of 18, Catherine marries Edgar and moves into Thrushcross Grange. To Catherine's relief, Heathcliff returns to Wuthering Heights 3 years later, having mysteriously acquired gentlemanly manners, education, and money while he was away. While spending time with Catherine at the Grange, Heathcliff indulges the affections of Edgar's sister Isabella, in an attempt at revenge on her brother. Over time, the tense atmosphere between Heathcliff and Edgar culminates in Heathcliff being thrown out of the Grange, to which Catherine responds by shutting herself in her room. Ultimately, Edgar is unable to stop Heathcliff and Isabella from being together, and they elope. Meanwhile, Heathcliff and Isabella returns to Wuthering Heights, miserable and regretting their elopement. One day, while Edgar is in church, Heathcliff comes to Grange, where he and Catherine have a passionate reunion, forgiving each other of their betrayal. In order to avoid Edgar, Heathcliff leaves, but is later devastated to learn that Catherine died that very night after giving birth to a daughter, Cathy. Wrecked with grief, Heathcliff calls on Catherine's ghost to haunt him for the rest of his days. Growing increasingly crazed, Heathcliff reveals to Nellie that he is still tormented by the ghost of Catherine, having dug up her grave in a deranged attempt to gaze upon her corpse. Tiring of the gloomy moors, Lockwood moves away, but encounters Nellie while passing through the area 8 months later. Nellie explains to Lockwood that Heathcliff grew so obsessed with Catherine's ghost that he stopped eating and sleeping. One day, Nellie found him dead with a bizarre smile on his face. Heathcliff is buried with Catherine, while Hareton and Cathy makes plan to marry and move into the Grange. Wuthering Heights by Emily Brontë is a deeply layered novel, so its lessons are multifaceted. Here's a detailed breakdown of every key lesson that you can draw from it. First, the destructive power of revenge. Heathcliff's life is consumed by revenge. After being mistreated in Heathcliff's life is consumed by revenge. After being mistreated in his youth, his obsession with hurting those who wronged him, like Hindley and Edgar, leads not only to his own unhappiness but also causes suffering to innocent people, including the next generation. Holding on to grudges and seeking revenge only perpetuates pain and destroys relationships. The complexity of love. The novel contrasts passionate, often destructive love, Heathcliff and Catherine's, with more nurturing, steady love, Edgar and Isabella. Heathcliff and Catherine's intense love show how desire without balance or morality can harm both lovers and those around them. True love should be grounded in respect, empathy, and balance, not solely in passion. Social class and its influence. Heathcliff's early status and an orphan of low social standing fuels much of his resentment. Catherine's desire to marry Edgar for social position rather than pure love with Heathcliff also drives conflict. Social divisions and the obsession with status can distort relationships and personal choices. The cycle of suffering. The novel illustrates how pain and cruelty can be cyclical. Hindley's treatment of Heathcliff mirrors Heathcliff's later behavior towards Hindley's son, illustrated how bitterness and vengeance pass through generations. Breaking cycles of cruelty requires self-awareness and forgiveness. The wild, stormy Yorkshire moors reflect the untamed passions of the character. Environmental factors, upbringing, and personal choices intertwine to shape personalities and destinies. While circumstances influence us, our choices define whether we become compassionate or vengeful. Forgiveness and redemption. The younger generation, like Hareton and Cathy, represents hope and healing. Through their love and growth, the novel suggests that reconciliation and kindness can overcome past bitterness. Forgiveness and love have the power to heal long-standing wounds and restore peace. Consequences of obsession. Heathcliff's obsession with Catherine dominates his life and leads to destructive behavior. It demonstrates that allowing one emotion to control your life can lead to personal ruin. Obsession must be tempered with reason and reflection to avoid self-destruction. In short, Wuthering Heights teaches that unchecked passion, revenge, and obsession can destroy lives, while love, forgiveness, and empathy can heal and break cycles of suffering. It's a story that shows both the darkness and hope in a human relationship.